Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I'm Tim Laskus, and you're listening to The Tim Laskus Show. This is episode 67. How many of you out there have a short attention span when it comes to actually reading? Trying to read a book or a magazine article, it is difficult for me. Sometimes I struggle. However, if that information goes in through my ears, I can retain it a lot better than I can if I look at it with my eyes. And so audiobooks is the way to go. One of my great sponsors, Audible, has a free audiobook waiting for you right now. So all you got to do is go over to my website at timlaskus.com/resources and click Audible to get your free audiobook and a free 30-day trial membership. You can't beat that with Audible. Head over to timlaskus.com/resources. Also, some of you out there may be podcasters and you're looking for a professional intro and outro. If you like mine, if you like the way that mine sounds, Music Radio Creative is the one that created it, and they are giving all of you out there discounts on yours. If you go to timlaskus.com/resources, click on Music Radio Creative, and you'll get a discount for your own professional intro and outro with any kind of voice that you want and music. They'll put it together. They'll make you sound good. Hey, I know I love mine. I get lots of compliments, so I know you will like Music Radio Creative. Head over to timlaskus.com/resources. On to today's guest, which is Anmol Singh. Anmol struggled after college when he was trying to kind of invest some money into the stock market, and he was like, "Oh crap, I'm losing my shirt." But he stuck with it. He figured it out. And then later in 2014, he co-founded a company called Live Traders, in which he teaches others how to win in the stock market through courses and webinars. He's also in all kinds of stuff. He's an avid real estate investor. He has a large portfolio. He's even funded some other kind of companies that are out there. He's really a mover and shaker. He's a great entrepreneur, a fun person to talk to. And I know you're going to get a lot out of this episode. So enjoy.
The Tim Laska Show, in search of entrepreneurial gold. Tim digs deep into the minds of his guests, entertaining, down to earth, and informative. Now, here's your host, Tim Laskus.
Hey, Anmol, thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's a pleasure. Now, you were telling me that you are like a workaholic, so to speak. You're up in New York City. It's about work, but you do find time to paint. What kind of stuff are you painting?
I'm into like abstract art, because that's the easy stuff. You can mess around with it; it still comes out as art. So I'm usually focusing on abstract art rather than painting a specific picture.
So I could just take like a paint can and put it in front of a canvas and then shoot it with a gun, blow it up, and then it splatters everywhere, and I could say that's abstract. Look at that. Is that
exactly? It's all about having fun. It's all about and something will come out of it.
Hey, and that's probably a good stress reliever, and you could paint by putting that paint can in front of your canvas and then shoot it with some kind of gun and blow it. That would be cool. That might be a good Facebook Live kind of activity.
Exactly, and I tag my pictures with #TraderTherapy.
Very cool. Hey, Anmol, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself professionally, and what are you currently working on?
Sure. So as a career, I am a professional stock market and forex trader. I also manage funds for other people, sort of like a hedge fund. And then apart from that, we turned that into a business, me and my partner. We were both traders. We said, hey, how could we turn trading and help other people and make some more money along the way? So we decided to do courses, education, training, and webinars for other people who want to learn how to trade. So that's one of the business ventures that I have. Apart from that, I'm into real estate. I'm starting another supplement company soon, and have another franchise that I just bought into that's going to be opening up soon. So I'm pretty involved with work at the moment in 2017.
Well, it sounds like it. And it sounds like you don't have any time to sleep. You're doing all this stuff. You're making money left and right for yourself and for other people. And, for trading, how did you get into trading? Because that's a tough gig. It's a lot of people who initially get into it, they kind of bomb miserably. So how did you get into it, and how did you become successful at it?
Right. So, I was in my college and attend one of those societies, college society meetup about entrepreneurship. And then, there were people there talking about trading, NASDAQ, FTSE, and I was like, what the heck is a NASDAQ? Like, I don't even know what that is. And it just got me really curious seeing all the movies about trading, about Wall Street, and seeing all the money being made. So that was a curiosity spike for me, seeing all this money being made. And I just started researching more into it, reading more about it. And it wasn't always easy. The whole first year of my trading, I actually lost money the whole first year. And the trading, it turned into a career for me because I couldn't actually find a job. I did get my degree from a great university, got a business degree, started applying to all these jobs, got a handful of interviews, but never really got anywhere, never really got a job. So I said, you know what, I have no other choice. I'm just going to devote more time into learning how this markets really work. And in my second year of trading, I finally figured it out.
Awesome. Well, that's incredible, and it was probably a blessing that nobody hired you because now you're doing okay on your own. You don't need them anyway. Do you ever
Oh,
go back and
for
thank those
sure.
people? Say, I just want to shake your hand because you didn't give me a job, and I'm so appreciative.
I would love to. I probably don't even remember their name, but I would love to do that.
Now, you said you're doing some stuff with real estate. What do you do with real estate?
So I have a commercial property in India, which is like a commercial real estate building. They have office spaces in there. So that building is pretty big in India. It's a 10-story building that I have there, and I'm also looking to get involved in the New York market. I've been pretty nimble, but I bought my first New York property just last month. It's another commercial property. It's like a auto repair property that I'm looking to convert into a franchise to get like a Meineke or car care center, open that up in that location because that location's just awesome. So that's what I'm into right now is commercial, but I am looking to get into the New York market for residential as well. Previously, we've been involved, my family that is, in real estate in India, in residential and commercial. But I think New York, I'm going to be getting in the market soon as well.
Well, that's fantastic. What does the landscape in business look like over in India? Are people prospering? Are people doing well? Are they starting businesses left and right? What's it look like?
Right now it's kind of the gold rush. I mean, the potential is there, right? The market's big. There's just so many people, more and more people getting more and more money to spend. So the market's there. The problem with India is it's like a market where you got to know somebody, you got to know somebody, you got to know somebody. So it's one of those markets that if you don't have any contacts or you don't have enough cash, things could get a little bit, tougher as a person just looking to start out from scratch. But my family is from India. I'm from India originally, so we have contacts. We've got the network built in there, which makes it easier to work.
Well, just like New York City, I'm sure in India you can find some great food.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, India, the food's amazing. Every time I visit India, that's the first thing I do.
Now, is their spicy level the same as it here in the States? We got like mild, moderate, and then on fire. I bet their mild is like our on fire.
Yeah, there you don't get any options. Do you want mild or fire? Everything's fire.
You better take it and leave it, huh? So when people
Exactly.
are sweating and wiping their brow and start hiccuping, and that's what I do when I eat something too hot. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I'm weird like that. But then it's good.
Exactly.
Well, that's great stuff. So, you're doing all kinds of stuff, and as an entrepreneur, you're moving and shaking. There are people listening to this podcast who are just like eating this up, and they're like, yes, I want to do some of this, what Anmol's doing. He's got his hands on all kinds of things. Do you have any tips for entrepreneurs out there today who are in the beginning stages, who either just started or getting ready to launch? What can you give them?
Well, my advice to them would be to not try and do everything now. Like, don't just try and make it quick. Anything sustainable, anything long term takes time. And I would advise them to start with one thing. Don't think that, hey, I want to jump into this, I want to do real estate, I want to do trading. You don't want to jump into everything right now. First, you're going to have that one core business that's going to make you money. And once that core business is successful, it's giving you that cash flow, then you can think about going into your next venture. A lot of people try and find small little gigs here and there. I'm going to freelance, make, $500 a month. I'm going to do that to make $200 a month. And they just have their hands in all these little ponds trying to squeeze out some money. But I think your effort should be focused strictly on one thing until you get that right.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of lose track, almost like ADD. Your attention isn't focused too long on any one thing, and then you've got 4 or 5 things going that they all flop. So you're saying be consistent with one, make sure that it's stable, you got a good foundation, a good footing, and then kind of venture off and look for something else.
Exactly. I mean, I didn't start any of the businesses until I actually got trading down. Once I got trading and I am a consistent, profitable trader now, making consistent money every month. Okay, now I can focus my efforts on doing, other business or investing in other places. but the first thing needs to be there. That essential cash flow source needs to be there so that you can go out later on and start something else.
Now, would you encourage anyone who's starting a business or they've only been kind of doing it a couple of years, they're kind of fledgling? Is it a good idea for them to also kind of take some money and put it into maybe stocks?
100%. I think everybody should be involved in the stock market. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you're just going to go out and buy stocks that you feel like buying, but I think everybody should be involved in the markets. It could be just buying the S&P 500. It could just be buying NASDAQ. It could just be investing in a mutual fund. I mean, do whatever, but everybody should be involved in the market, because long term, if you're not getting in and out, if you're in the market long term, that has historically been the highest payout. And if you invest in the market average 10 years, the average 10-year return is about 8 to 10%. And if you're growing your money every year, by 8 to 10%, it doesn't take long to really double your money with a compounding effect. So I think everybody should be involved in the market in some capacity. But all I would say is, if you have never traded before, if you don't know what you're doing, if you're not educated, don't do it yourself. Find people who can do it, give them the money, let them do it. Yes, they might charge fees. Yes, they will charge fees. That's how they make money. But as long as you're giving you positive return, it's a no-brainer, because what's the other option? You can keep it invested in your bank, get 0.5% a year, even if the mutual funds, are horrible, they don't perform well. Even if they give you 5%, that's still 4.5% more than what you would get at your bank. So it's just a no-brainer.
Well, are a couple of like rookie mistakes as far as making money or saving is you nobody's ever become a millionaire by stashing money under their mattress and just hoping just to save. I hear a lot of people about save, but nobody's ever become like super rich by just saving, right?
Yeah, unless you're Pablo Escobar. I mean, you're not going to become rich by putting it into your mattress. You got to be invested, right? You have to have a goal behind why you're saving. What are you saving for, right? And if you're saving, okay, great, save. But save in a vehicle that's actually going to give you some return. There's so many other places you can park your money at, even bonds and, the treasury bonds and all those things. I mean, you can still park your money there. Your money's still safe, but at least you'll get something more than 0.5% in your bank.
Yeah, for sure. And, as far as trading goes, I think people often have an emotional response that gets them in trouble. As soon as the market starts to take a dive, everybody's like, oh, there goes all my money. I better jump out. And then they've lost half their money, and then they jump out, and then they're like up the creek, because then it kind of comes back again. They're like, oh, I shouldn't have jumped. Do you see that a lot?
Oh, 100%. And that's what causes the markets to move the way they do, because markets don't move up, down, or side. Markets only move based on two things, which are two emotions: fear and greed. Those are the only two emotions that exist in the market. When the people are fearful, stocks start to go down, market starts to go down. When the people are greedy, stock starts to go up, market starts to go up. So they're only the two emotions that cause the market to move the way they do. And it's the people that cause these moves. Now, my advice is, if you haven't traded before, if you haven't taken any education program, if you don't know what you're doing, do not try and time the market. Don't try and get in and out. You don't know when to get out, when to get in. And you have to be humble enough to say, I don't know, right? You don't know where the market's going to bounce. You don't know if it's going to come back or not. So don't use the strategy, like the strategy that is taught to people is buy and hold. But recently people have turned it into buy and hope. Buy and hope is not a strategy. So if you don't know what you're doing, it's better to just put it in a mutual fund, let your money ride, and don't try and time the market. Leave that to the people who do that for a living.
Yeah, for sure. Great advice. Now, you had shared earlier that, you started your own kind of business, went out on your own when people wouldn't hire you. But, when did you first realize that you had that entrepreneurial spirit? Was it before people had rejected you?
I think I was born with it. I hate when a lot of people hate my advice, because I actually do feel like I was born in that environment. My whole family has never had a job. Whole family, except for my sister. But nobody's ever had a job, including my dad, including my granddad. Nobody ever had a job. Everybody started their business. So I grew up in that environment where, for me, having a job was actually something weird, right? Owning a business was just natural. And when I grew up, owning a job was like a concept that didn't even exist in my head. The whole idea I was brought up is to run the whole business. And I remember as a kid, when, let's say we have family over, there's like 20, 30 people coming over to my house. I used to pull out a table, whip out all the junk in the house, and try to sell it to people who were coming to the house, my family and relatives. So I always had that in me, even in school. I started like a magazine. I was 8 or 9, I think. Started a magazine, printing out stuff from the internet, jokes, articles, putting it in a format and selling it to my school students with like a candy. So I mean, I've always done these things. So I was always involved in it. So for me, starting a business was just second nature. It wasn't really something that I had to work on that much.
Well, it sounds like the entrepreneurial genes were probably passed down to you, as well as, you being in that environment and just watching those around you who are doing things, making money other than working in jobs. What were some of the messages you received about money in your household while you were growing up?
Well, the biggest lesson was you got to work for it. And that was always instilled in me that you want something, you go out and get it. You want something, you work for it. Or you want something, you got to do something for somebody. And that's what really business is in a nutshell, right? You want to make $1 million? Well, you got to find 1 million people to give you $1, or you got to find one person to give you $1 million, or you got to find 2 people to give you $500,000. So you got to do the math on, how you're going to happen. And essentially, that's what business really is. You provide somebody a service, in exchange, they give you their money. And that's what I was taught, that anything else I want in life, you got to work for it.
Great lesson. Love that. Now, since you've been doing this, I'm sure there have been some tough times mentally where you were like pulling your hair out thinking, oh, goodness, I don't know how I got myself into this. Can you share with the listeners a time when you were super stressed out, and how did you cope and get through it?
My whole first year of trading was a stressful moment. Like, I didn't make any money the whole first year. So that was a really stressful moment, because seeing my friends, they're all getting jobs, they're making, $100,000 a year, getting fantastic job, while I'm sitting in my dorm room in front of my computer screen all day, trying to figure out how to trade and trying to figure out how I can recover my losses. So that was a really stressful moment, because even if when you go to family gatherings, you go to parties, and you see your friends, or you see people who in the college or university, they're all like, hey, how's that trading thing going? You still doing that trading thing? I can maybe help you out. I know somebody who can maybe get you a job or something. And I'm like, wow, like these guys don't understand what I'm working towards. So, but I use that as a fuel. I say, you know what? I gotta prove these guys wrong. I didn't use guys. I used a different word. But I said, I gotta prove these guys wrong. So that just motivated me even further to really figure out what I was doing wrong in my trading and what I can fix to turn that key from being a losing trader to being a profitable trader.
So that was fuel that builds you up, to increase your flame, to grow your empire. And it wasn't fuel to burn you down, because a lot of times people allow that to kind of burn them down. The negativity within, they're all negative thoughts, or, oh, maybe I am a failure. Maybe I've never cut out to be an entrepreneur. And then they hear other people around them being successful in what they're doing. And then they're kind of questioning, well, what are you doing? And so that often is fuel that burns them down. But that doesn't sound like that's what happened with you.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because there's two ways people can handle this. One way they can be like, you know what, maybe they are right. Maybe I am not good. Maybe this trading thing doesn't work, right? Maybe people were right. Maybe I should look for a job. So that's one thing you can do. Or the other way is like, you know what, yes, it might not work. That's true. These guys might be right. But you know what, let me find out. Let me give it all the chance that I can and find out. And if it doesn't work again in a year from now, okay, fine. I'll move on, right? No big deal. But at least let me give it the best shot. And I think most people start things, but they don't give it the absolute best shot. So give it your best shot, and then if you fail, great, move on. At least now we know what doesn't work. But you have to give it that 100%. And ask yourself the question whenever you feel like quitting. Did I actually give it my 100%? Could I have done it anything better? And if you could have, then well, guess what? You keep going. If you couldn't have, if you absolutely have done everything you could have and you've exhausted all the options, okay, then you might consider moving on. So I was thinking about it very logically, and I think that's one of the things that definitely helped me, is that everything I thought about it logically, right? Yes, I felt down at points, I felt angry at points, but I still was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it one more year. I'm gonna give it my best shot, and then if it doesn't work, we'll figure it out. But for me, failure was never an option, because my thinking is, if you never quit, you never fail.
Well, I love that you brought up that, once you exhaust all of your options, then you can make a really kind of informed decision as to whether you go forward with that idea or abandon it. Because I think a lot of people struggle with that. It's like, well, how do I know, that I've exhausted everything? Or how do I know when to quit and give it up? Or how, so many people never make it because they gave up too soon. And people really struggle with being able to identify, well, where's that fine line between, keep going or give up. And you kind of brought up a good point that, when you've exhausted everything that you could possibly do with that idea, and once you've done that, and it's still not working, then it may be time to hang it up, correct?
Exactly. And but problem is most people don't even know what their options are, so they wouldn't know when they've exhausted it. So for you to do that, you first gotta get a whiteboard, and honestly, like people should actually get a physical whiteboard. I know online's great, but trust me, get out a physical whiteboard, put it on your wall, and write down all the options. So if you want to marketing, write down all the ways you can market, what the channels you can market, the place where you can place your ads, which podcast can you get on. Like write on all these things, and then make sure you tick your options, so you always know what your options are. I actually have a physical whiteboard in front of me right now, with all the websites where we can guest post, where all the places where we can get on, where all the places where we can place our banner ads. I've got a list and I keep ticking them so I know what my options are at all point. And if there's still things on my whiteboard that I haven't ticked, that means I haven't utilized the full potential of my business.
Well, that's a wonderful, wonderful tip that you just gave in to buy a whiteboard. I've always been a big fan of a whiteboard. I use them all the time. I'm a real visual person. And even though I have a calendar within my phone, I still like to write stuff down. I mean, I have a paper kind of calendar that I keep with me that I write down. I have a whiteboard that I write all over with, either the week's events that are coming up or, maybe just for the day. It all depends. But yeah, I'm a real visual person. It helps you to stay on track, stay organized, and let you know where you're going. And if your whiteboard is always just white, then you're not really utilizing it.
Exactly.
Yeah. What would you say has been the most fulfilling moment of your journey as an entrepreneur?
Well, the fulfilling moment is when you actually see people achieving results using what you've taught them. Because for a long time as a trader, like I was making money, I was feeling great, but then let's say I'm 2-3 years into my trading and I was starting to burn out because what am I really creating, right? What am I leaving behind? And I'm leaving behind nothing, right? Like I'm trading computer, making money for myself, and it's a very selfish business, right? And at one point I was feeling like, wow, like all I'm gonna leave on, behind if whenever I die, all I'm leaving behind is a stain on my chair, right? That's all I'm leaving. And I was like, it gotta be something different. Like it gotta be some way I can utilize my skill to help other people. And when you see people saying, hey, I just bought a new house and, I'm being able to pay for it after you've, done the trading, or somebody saying, hey, I was losing money, I'm finally able to make money as a trader, or some people saying, I've been trading for 3 years, never made any money, now I'm finally making money. And, some people, one guy came for a live one-on-one mentorship with me in New York. He came all the way from Italy, right? So think about the hotel cost, think about the flight cost, think about the cost of just the mentorship alone. And, it was over $10,000. And he's like, I was able to pay for it using the trade that I took with you last week. And I'm like, wow, and that just pushes me further, knowing that I'm leaving more than just a stain on my chair.
Anmol, that was incredible. I loved your answer to that. It really speaks to your character that it wasn't that, hey, when I made $1 million, that was the highlight. No, it was, when you helped change the lives of those who have taken your courses, those that you've worked with, and that is the real value in what you do, and as entrepreneurs in general, it's the value you bring to your customers, to your clients, those who you are with, all the time. How do you improve their lives? And it sounds like you've really touched some people, help them have the financial security so that they could have a better life, and that's got to be a great feeling.
Exactly, and that is what something that continues to motivate me to better the courses, better the education, and more things we can do so people can get this down quicker.
For sure. Well, Anmol, we've come to the end of the program, but before we go, tell the listeners where they can find you online and where are you on social media?
Right, so my handle on social media is at Delta90. It's all spelled out DELTA. NINETY. So they go on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, the username same on all the channels, so they could find me there. And apart from that, they could visit the website www.livetraders.com, where they can get some, get a free ebook, get some free blog posts, and even get a 15-minute consultation with my partner for free. So they can do that before they dive in, because maybe trading is not right for you, right? And so you got to find that out. Is it even something I want to get into? And I think the free resources on the site is going to give you a great example of whether this is for you or not.
Hey, I love freebies, so everybody just head on over to livetraders.com. Anmol, you've been fantastic and great, and I look forward to staying in touch and watching you on your journey.
Thanks for having me, and good luck to you and your podcast.
Thank you. Take care.
Want more entrepreneurial tips? Go to timlaskas.com.